Well, the Hamas has confirmed that the killing of its top leader Yahya Al-Sinwar by Israeli defense forces has indeed taken place, and at the same time they've said that this does not mean that the fighting in Gaza would end. It would not mean that hostages will be returned and they will lay down arms as has been demanded by Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, although a lot of leaders across the world, including Joe Biden, the American President, Olaf Scholz, the German Chancellor, and also the French President have said that this could pave the way for peace in Gaza. Let's talk about this significant moment then. What does it actually mean for this conflict which has been raging and has been spreading as well, escalating as well into a wider region beyond Gaza? We are joined by noted defense expert, Lieutenant General retired Syed Atta Hasnain. Good evening to you, General Hasnain. What do you make of the prospects for peace, or do you think that this would trigger again more conflict and perhaps even wider implications as far as that region is concerned?
Thank you, Gautam. Thank you for inviting me to your program. Yes, it's a defining moment. A year and about 10 days after the 7th October 2023 incident, you find almost 15 to 16 members of the top leadership of the Hamas and Hezbollah both have been wiped out. Yahya was perhaps the last of them, but a very, very important military leader who was supposed to have been the mastermind behind the 7th October incident of 2023 and also the mastermind of the tunneling system, the defensive system of Gaza. Now, a year down in this conflict, it may appear with a cursory look that probably stamina is running out. Israel, for example, has a problem with its economy. From a 6.5% growth has come down to almost 2%, although the United States is backing it to the hilt completely. The Hamas, 40,000 people have died in Gaza. Gaza has been reduced to rubble. So one would expect that with the leadership down, the finances down, so many people having been killed, this perhaps may be the moment when possibly a ceasefire is something which could be negotiated. But this, when you look deeper into it, you realize that Israel's stamina can remain intact, as I said, with the US support and particularly with the American elections on at this time, everything remains on the gray zone. And as far as Hamas is concerned, the battle has also been joined in the north by the Hezbollah. And here itself in down south, the spirit of perhaps sacrifice, that kind of a spirit could always revive, remembering the fact that Yahya had died fighting. He was not shot, he was not killed by a bombing effort or a rocket or a missile. He was actually killed in a last-ditch battle, in a gunfight. And that perhaps may inspire many to continue taking on this fight. So we really may not have seen the end of the war in the Middle East or in Gaza at the moment. And there is a possibility that this will continue for some more time. Definitely till the US elections.
Right. More pointers, in fact, not just the fact that the US election till we have a new president in place, and that extends that time period to January in the White House, that this war will end. But the other factors are Israel has basically changed its stance. Also the fact that Netanyahu doesn't want to face elections anytime soon. The other fact is that Israel now wants to create these zones, really buffer zones, where its population of Israelis is sequestered from the gamut of attackers that it has had over the decades, which includes the Hamas, the Hezbollah, the Houthis. Now Iran is also in the mix.
Yes, no doubt. Israel having been hit very badly on the 7th of October, 1,200 casualties for a nation of 9 million is a huge number. 250 hostages taken, has gone for something completely different. It's gone towards, first of all, hunting for the last terrorist, whether it be the Hamas or Hezbollah, neutralizing the capability of Iran to carry out its proxy warfare in this whole entire region, and yes, sequestering itself away from the possible attacks in the future, both from Gaza or from the northern borders in Lebanon. But having whatever it has achieved at the moment, it seems that the next generation of people, having killed 40,000 dead, and for terms of Palestinians and the Hamas Palestinians, it is obvious that this war is going to continue in some form or the other. This war may not necessarily be a shooting match. It could well be an insurgency kind of a battle affair which can continue for fairly long without exhaustion of too many resources.
Yeah, I can give you more reasons why it will still continue. The other is that Israel is still to hit back at Iran for the latest barrage of missiles and rockets which were fired at it. The other is that who would the negotiators really talk to? Because the last person who was taking a call on negotiations was Yahya Al-Sinwar himself. Now it's being suggested that it might be his brother Muhammad. And interestingly, the IDF has released a video today where they've shown Muhammad sitting in a car in the passenger seat, moving around in some tunnels in Gaza, indicating perhaps that he could be the successor and he could also indeed be the next person in the IDF's crosshairs.
See, Gautam, in these kind of situations, creating a new leadership is never easy. We have seen it happening in all kinds of areas in India too, where leaderships have been completely decimated, and we found that it takes a fairly long time for a new leadership to emerge. This is something which may happen here too, and therefore you are absolutely right. It is going to be difficult to find people to speak to, and then there are going to be dissensions within. You see, Hamas may not remain that kind of a monolith kind of an organization where it was complete support from Iran, the support from Qatar, or the leadership together in the kind of a focus against Israel. There will be many who would be wanting a ceasefire at this particular time. There will be many who will be wanting to continue the battle forever. So you're going to find a major problem in this, and therefore at some stage or the other, you will find a resumption of hostilities will take place. I don't see peace on the horizon, or the kind of peace that we imagine. I don't think we can see that on the horizon for some time.
And at the same time, you will keep hearing from the West, particularly America, Joe Biden and others, that we should use this opportunity to move towards peace and then galvanize the negotiators once again who had been engaged in talks in Doha. We have of late not heard much about that process.
Yes, absolutely. That process, and especially after the commencement of the campaign towards the northern borders, and that was perhaps one of the reasons why this whole thing was opened up by the Hezbollah at that time. We haven't really heard of much of a peace process. And with the Hamas side, that's the Gaza flank, now comparatively stabilized, this war is going to focus completely on the Hezbollah side. Because you may remember that 2006, we have memories of 2006 which persist in this region, and Israel will want to make sure that they overcome that, the negativity of 2006, and put an end to whatever is happening on the southern front in southern Lebanon at the moment, having overcome the issues with the Hamas and Gaza. So I don't foresee, once again, as I said, something stabilizing, at least in this window that we are looking at, which you very correctly assessed from now till 21st of January, that's when the inauguration of the new American president takes place.
And in the meantime, Gaza itself will remain a loose end. The Hamas may not be in the kind of shape and form that it was, but it can still perhaps be an effective guerrilla force.
Yes, there's no doubt about it, that despite a strong Israeli surveillance over Gaza all these years, the fact that Hamas could build 150 kilometers worth of tunnels with concrete and cement is itself shows that when it comes to an insurgency kind of a situation, a terrorist kind of a environment, anything can happen. And then you have an entirely open sea flank from which direction lots and lots of things can move into the Gaza Strip. So I don't foresee the end of resistance here in some form or the other, despite the fact there is huge amount of surveillance from the Israeli side today, including from the Egyptian side, the southern border. But I do perceive that movement of some logistics, some weapon systems, etc., will continue like it happens in any part of the world where you find land borders are hardly obstacles to the movement of such logistics.
Yes, that's a bleak note, but that's where we have to end. Thank you so much for joining us and talking about how do you see the situation evolving in the region, which is not, for the moment, anywhere heading towards peace. Thank you for the moment.
Thank you.
Syed Ata Hussain, Lieutenant General Syed Ata Hussain.